You're listening to The Sports Moment. February 12th, 2024. Part of the Sports Moments and Memories with Craig Olson podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe so you never miss a sports moment. Sponsored by Pemberton Law and Lake Area Docks and Lifts.
Lake Area Docks and Lifts, more than just docks and lifts. Lake Area Docks and Lifts.
Well, the NFL season is over as Super Bowl 58 is in the books, and a big day Saturday for the Otter boys swimming and diving team at their Central Lakes Conference meet. Time to start a new week looking at sports events, sports moments, and memories on our podcast. And let's start with that Otter boys swimming and diving team. They had three individuals who earned all-conference honorable mention. Jaden Kopinski, who was fifth in the 200 IM and sixth in the 100 free. Matthew Toole, who took fifth in the 200 free. And Reese Hansen, who was fifth in the 100 backstroke. Congratulations to all of the all-conference honorable mention swimmers. Very tough conference, the Central Lakes Conference, and I talked with Randy Hansen, the head coach, about that. And receiving an honor like all-conference honorable mention is great in any sport, in any conference. But boy, when you do it in this tough Central Lakes Conference, that's not easy, is it, Randy?
No, most of the teams are double A teams, and Alec and us and I guess Wilmer and Apollo are the only ones that are single A. But so and Brainerd is tough top to bottom, and Sauk Rapids is not as deep as them, but they've got some really good swimmers, and Sartell is tough as nails, and so yeah, it's and Tech has got they're all world swimmers and things, so you're fighting with a lot of good guys to place, and so to get three guys to be all conference honorable mention is a good deal, and Jaden Kopinski was that twice, so it was a good day. It was a good day for us.
Yeah, Jaden, you mentioned he's so young, and to have that kind of success can really really make him a confident swimmer for not only this postseason, but looking ahead to the next few years.
Yeah, you hope so. When we put him in the 100 free, just that's not his normal event that he swims. We took him out of the 100 fly and put him in the 100 free just to see how that would work, and then he snuck in there for a sixth place, and so that was pretty awesome. And yeah, you get on the big stage and you have success, and it can only be things that you can draw on in the future. When we get to state and you make it to the top 8, you've got some experience with things similar to that in your pocket. So. To be only a ninth grader and getting those things is pretty nice.
Well, and he was fifth in the 200 IM. As an IMer, is he weak in any strokes at all? Is there a stroke you need to improve on, or is he pretty solid in all the strokes?
Yeah, his breaststroke has really come along this year. Coach Zozel, former breaststroker, has really been working hard with him, and he really has put some good things together breaststroke-wise. And butterfly and freestyle are probably his best, and backstroke is I guess if I had to choose, probably his weakest, but it's not really super weak. So he just has to just get his fitness and get his technique down a little bit better. So it's coming, but he's going to be he's going to do well at sections, I think, in the 200 IM. He went to state in it last year, so we'll see what happens this year.
And I think you'd mentioned that Matthew Toole was the last guy to get an all-conference honorable mention in the Central Lakes Conference. He did it again for you in the 200 free over the weekend, and he just seems to really do well with the distance events and kind of thrive on that.
Yeah, that's really been his deal the last several years. He's been our 200 500 guy. So, and I can get him into a variety of other events, and he'll do well. But that's where he really succeeds is the 2 and the 5, and and I know he was hoping to break into that top 6 in the 500, but there were so many good guys in that 500. He just wasn't able to do that, and it's but his times were really good. In fact, all of our guys, their times weren't necessarily PRs, but they were right in there close, and that's exactly what we wanted to see from them. So it was nice.
And Reese Hansen in the 100 back, Reese has sure progressed well. How do you feel about where he finished on Saturday and where he sits now looking ahead to sections.
Yeah, he's in a good spot too. We have been, all conference honorable mention or all conference was his goal, and so he, to get that was pretty special, and he was pretty happy with himself there. He really wanted to be in the 57s going into sections, but he's pretty happy with where he's sitting as far as the other backstrokers go. So he's in a good spot. He's going to be one of those guys that's going to challenge for one of those places for state. And so, in fact, all three of those guys are really in good spots for that. I mean, when you start looking at the list of, all right, who has a legitimate chance to go to state in different events, I mean, all three of those guys have to be taken into consideration in their events. So, and that's where you want to be. That's what we work for all year, is to get into that spot and just have a chance going into sections to get those guys to state.
And today starts their favorite stretch of practice of the season. So tell us what's in store here as you prepare for sections 2 weeks from now.
Yeah, the taper stuff it's the guys just love it, but it's not really that magical. It's just kind of a slow work down of intensity, of distance anyway. The yardage will drop a little bit every day, and we still do some intense sets, but they're not nearly as many. And we they just start to feel better, especially by the end of this week. They can tell that their bodies are bouncing back. This will be our last week of lifting too, and so they'll have less of that. And their biggest thing is just to stay healthy and, don't do anything dumb and control what you can control, and just go to bed, eat well, and then, we just got to kind of wrap yourself in bubble wrap for 2 weeks, and then hopefully maybe a third if we can get lucky.
Well, the Otters now have 2 weeks to prepare for that section meet. As Randy said, you just want to stay healthy and get that taper working and be swimming your fastest when it rolls around in 2 weeks' time on the 24th of February for the Otter boys swimming and diving team. Pemberton Law Firm is one of our sponsors of our podcast, and they serve you from 4 different locations around the area, with an office in Fergus Falls and in Wadena, one in Detroit Lakes, and one in Alexandria. And, of course, you can always visit them online at pemlaw.com. Pemberton Law carries a legacy of trustworthy and reputable legal representation dating all the way back to 1883. We also want to thank Donovan and Renee Rasmussen, great supporters of the youth in our area and of our podcast as well. And they're getting ready for what they hope will be an exciting summer season. I think it will be. Looking for that early spring, pretty promising right now. As you get ready for fun on the water this summer, be sure to remember that Lake Area Docks and Lifts are there to help you with 5 convenient locations across Lakes area. That's Lake Area Docks and Lifts.
Lake Area Docks and Lifts, more than just docks and lifts. Lake Area Docks and Lifts.
Patrick Mahomes was named Super Bowl MVP Sunday night after he led the Kansas City Chiefs to a come-from-behind 25-22 victory over the San Francisco 49ers. It is the second Super Bowl title in a row for the Chiefs. They're the first team to go back-to-back since the 03-04 New England Patriots, and that's their third Super Bowl title in the past 5 years. And Mahomes has won the MVP honor in all 3 of those title wins. Mahomes threw for 2 touchdowns and connected with 9 different receivers in the victory. And now the talk has started. No team has ever won 3 consecutive Super Bowl titles. Will Mahomes and the Chiefs be the first to do that? Well, as I've said before, you just don't bet against Patrick Mahomes, so we'll see if they can put it together a third time. They always say it's hard to win once, really tough to repeat. And to three-peat, well, almost unheard of. But Mahomes and the Chiefs, I'm sure, will be right there in the mix next year for Super Bowl 59. There were 3 field goals in that game of 50 yards or more. And the interesting thing about that stat is, in the previous 57 Super Bowls, there were 7 field goals of 50 yards or more. So 3 of them came last night. 3 of the 10 in Super Bowl history came last night. Jake Moody, on the first field goal of the game in the second quarter, made a 55-yarder. That, at the time, was a record for a Super Bowl field goal. And then in the third quarter, Harrison Butker of the Chiefs did him one better. He went 57 yards with the made field goal to establish a new record after the previous record set by Moody was barely a quarter and a half old. So pretty impressive kicking games going on last night. But a blocked extra point by Kansas City on a Jake Moody extra point try made that an overtime game, and the 49ers could have won it in regulation had that extra point gone through the uprights. Chiefs 25, 49ers 22 in the Super Bowl 58. It was a game that took a long time to really get any rhythm or flow to it. The first half was really, to be blunt, kind of boring. Not a lot going on. I've always said that the 2-week layoff is not a good thing. It makes for a slow start to the Super Bowl games. Teams have to kind of feel each other out, get into their rhythm and their flow, and it took a good half for that to happen. As the game progressed in the second half, it got better and better, more competitive, and it became kind of Super Bowl material by the fourth quarter and overtime. So I'm glad it panned out that way, and a pretty exciting finish, of course, with the Chiefs pulling it out at the end of the first overtime, 25-22. Terrible loss for the Gopher men's basketball team yesterday. They completely unraveled in their 90-85 loss to Iowa. They had a Sunday matinee at Carver Hawkeye Arena in Iowa City, and Minnesota had opened a 62-42 lead with 16 minutes left, but the Hawkeyes took over once Dawson Garcia was injured, and the red-hot shooting Gophers went ice cold. Minnesota missed 16 of its final 20 shots as Iowa stormed back to sweep the season series. The Gophers are now 15-8 overall, 6-6 in the Big Ten. They saw their 3-game winning streak end, and they now have a tough assignment Thursday as they continue their Big Ten road trip. They will be at number 2 Purdue on a Thursday night. And we are 45 days from opening day in the Major League Baseball season, and the Twins made a trade over the weekend. A day after losing to Minnesota in salary arbitration, utility man Nick Gordon was traded from the Twins to the Miami Marlins for left-handed reliever Steven Okert. Now, Okert was 3-2 last year with a 4.45 ERA in his 64 relief appearances for the Marlins. He struck out 73, walked 24 in 58 2/3 innings. He did allow 9 home runs. He's 32 years old, has a career ERA of 3.70 in 6 seasons split between San Francisco and Miami. Okert agreed last month to a 1-year contract for just over $1 million. He is eligible for free agency after the 2026 season. Gordon, who's 28 years old, spent last year on the injured list from May 17th on with a fractured right shin, and his numbers really dropped off from the previous year when he had a pretty good season with the Twins in 2022. And that's going to do it for our podcast today. Thanks for joining us. A busy week ahead as the playoffs, of course, continue for Otter girls hockey. Tomorrow night they play for the section title. They'll be up against Northern Lakes in Alexandria tomorrow night. We'll talk more about that tomorrow and lots of other stuff as well. So come back and visit us again. Thanks for listening.
You've been listening to The Sports Moment with Craig Olson. Sponsored by Pemberton Law and Lake Area Docks and Lifts. Produced by Sunroom Lab. Music by Blue Red Roses. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, and thanks for listening.